Hey everyone, this is Lauren Trader. I want to say something about something that I've been seeing happening over the past year and a half, as pertaining to the melodic progressive house scene. So, recently we've been seeing radio mixes being pushed as the official releases, whereas the full tracks are being pushed as extended mixes. And that's okay, I guess. Armada's been doing that for years and years with progressive trance. But I think it's a little different with progressive trance kind of went into a pop direction essentially. My problem with these radio mixes being pushed as the official releases for these tracks, the mixes that are getting the full publicity and promotion and stuff. It feels like this genre has been, it's getting watered down. The publicity that the genre has been getting lately is certainly great, but I don't think you can really call this stuff that you're releasing melodic progressive house if you've got a 3.5 minute long track, and usually not even that. Like, you're basically limiting your tracks to 3 minutes and 30 seconds essentially. It really feels like you're like these guys, and I'm not targeting any certain people. It's being done all over the place. I understand that there are some benefits to this, because for DJs you can fit more tracks into a mix with these radio mixes. But I think that most of us that have been invested in this genre for a very long time, I think one of the things that got us into this, and just a lot of other house music in general, a lot of house music is progressive in nature. But for something to progress, it takes a few minutes, right? Like, you can't do a full progression in 3 minutes, right? And I'm sounding cheesy here, but progressive house is progressive house because it kind of progresses, and then it goes fades out, right? If you have a track that just immediately starts with a sort of dance-like vibe, which of course progressive house already has that, but that usually doesn't kick in until it's progressed, right? I think it misses out on one of the core aspects of the genre that people have been invested in for so long. And by people being invested in it, I'm not talking about the producers. I'm really talking about people that enjoy listening to the music. Kind of, a lot of people describe it as taking on a journey. I'm not necessarily sure if that's how I would describe it, but I'm not necessarily one for words, as people probably know. But I do like the progression aspect to progressive house. So these 3-minute mixes, where you've got some 16 bars of 16 or 32 bars of just oh hey, you're listening to dance music right now, and oh, all of a sudden we're in a breakdown, and this breakdown isn't going to last as long as it could, because we're on a time constraint. It feels like a watering down of the genre, and it's not something that I totally agree with. not every track can necessarily be limited to a 3.5 or 4 minute time frame. And I certainly would hold off on releasing some of my tracks on some of these labels, because I want people to see the full, the full mix that I made as I intended people to hear it. And of course, some tracks it totally works fine on. There's a Talamanca track that I've been collabing with Talamanca on a track, and the short time frame works fine with that specific track, but the progressive element isn't really there, and I honestly think that people will prefer the extended mix as opposed to the radio mix for most of the tracks that I'm at least putting out. That's pretty much all I had to say. Is that I really hope that we aren't seeing Melodic Progressive House permanently watered down. I hope that, true Progressive House, in its, 6-7 minute forms, I hope that sticks around. I know that Alex H is sticking to, that sort of tradition, which I'm really appreciative of. And, the sheer amount of listens that Alex H and, Limidelic and Talamanca get, I think that proves that people really, really, really want to hear the extended mixes. Okay, I can't have you... Yeah, no, I can't listen to that. I don't want... I think it proves that there's a place... People still want to hear that stuff, and I'm sorry for the stutter. Long story behind that. It's not something that I'm necessarily proud of. So, if you're a progressive house producer that has, just recently got into the game, please don't lose, please don't lose sight or focus or on the stuff you were listening to whenever, you got into this genre that actually made you want to make this stuff. This we can't let this stuff get watered down. I think liquid drum and bass is a perfect example as to, you can have long tracks and still have really, 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 really good what's the word I'm looking for? Not publicity, but audience size, I guess, popularity. Because, liquid drum and bass and just drum and bass in general has always been big, and, track length has not necessarily been sacrificed at all in the past 10 years for drum and bass. So I don't necessarily think that we need to sacrifice, track size, which in a lot of cases would mean sacrificing quality and emotion or whatever, the great in the journey, I guess, from our progressive house tracks. I don't necessarily think that's a needed thing. If you have a track that sounds fine, with if the radio mix sounds fine and you don't necessarily feel like you're sacrificing quality, or what you feel is the meaning of your track, then certainly aim for some of these labels that are will get you publicity, but I personally would recommend sticking to these labels that have always been around. Emergent music, Saluna, Progressive House Worldwide. What's it called? Summer Melody. For the most part, I would recommend sticking with these labels that are keeping the real original stuff around, because that's quality stuff in my opinion. And then of course Alex H has a new label called Masvingo Recordings, which is releasing really 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 good stuff. If you haven't heard Masvingo Recordings music, seriously check it out. I might actually leave a link in the description in case you guys haven't heard it. But yeah, just wanted to get my opinion out there. Seems to be a topic that's pretty popular right now in the community. If you have anything to say about it, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And with that, I'm out. See you guys.